Welcome to section 5.7, graph linear inequalities in two variables. Now, some of the questions you might be asked to solve is it will give you an equation, an inequality, and will ask you which is or is not a solution of that. So all we have to do for this is plug in each of our points and see which works or does not work. So for this first one, we can plug in a 0 for x and a 0 for y. 0 minus 3 times 0 is still 0. Is 0 less than 6? Yes, that is true. So that means it is a solution. We're looking for which is not a solution. So that can't be the answer because it is a solution. So now we can go and try the next one of 6 and negative 1. So if we have 6 minus 3 times negative 1 would be the same as adding a positive 3. So that would give us 6 plus 3 would give us a positive 9. Is 9 less than or equal to 6? No. So that one is not a solution. So that has to be our answer. If it makes you feel better, we can still check the other ones and see if they work. So if we try 10 for x and 3 for y, 3 times 3 is 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. 1 is less than 6, so that is a solution. So it's not a solution. The last one then is going to be that negative 1 and 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. Negative 1 minus 6 will give us a negative 7, which is less than 6. So that is also not a solution. Now, what you might have to do with this is graph an inequality with two variables. The first step with this is ignore that it's an inequality and pretend instead that it's an equals. So if it was a y equals 4x minus 3. Well, this is in slope-intercept form, so we can go down 3 to find our y-intercept, and then we go up 4 over 1 to find the next point. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. There's our next point. We can go ahead, connect the dots, and we've got our line. So that was if it was an equals to sign. However, it's not equal to. It is y is greater than that. So two things we have to figure out with this. First, if this were on a number line, we would do an open circle because it doesn't have that equal to line underneath. But since we're actually graphing a line for our answer here, it's not actually an open circle, but it's actually going to be a dashed line for our answer. So we'll go ahead and we'll make this a dashed line. And I will erase the original line. And now I've got our dashed line answer. So that was part number 1. Part number 2 is we actually have to shade what side of the line satisfies this inequality. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. The first way is you can think, okay, our y values, so our up and down values, have to be larger than the line that we just graphed, or have to be greater than the line that we just graphed. Well, if our y values are greater than, you can start at one point that you already know, like this point right here, and find where are the y values greater. Well, that means our y values are getting larger, so that's going to be above. So our answer is actually going to be shading this side up here. So that's one way you can do this. The other way you can try to find this answer is you can just pick a point on either side of the line and see if that point works. For example, the origin, because we know the origin is really easy to do math with since our point is 0, 0. Now, if our origin is 0, 0, we can now plug those numbers in. So 4 times 0 is 0, minus 3 is negative 3. So is 0 greater than negative 3? Yes, 0 is greater than negative 3. So you would then shade the side that has the origin on it. And yes, I did absolutely pick the Vikings colors on purpose for that one. Skol Vikes. Next one. For this, we have to graph this line. So x plus 2y is less than or equal to 0. Easiest way to do this, get it into slope-intercept form first. So we'll have to subtract x from both sides, which will leave us with a 2y is less than or equal to negative x. Or you can also think of that as a negative 1x. Now we can divide both sides by 2, and we get a y is less than or equal to negative 1/2 x. Well, this is a direct variation equation because it doesn't have a y-intercept added onto the end. So that means it's going to pass through the origin. And from there, it's going to have a slope of negative 1/2, or in other words, down 1 and over 2. So now we've got our 2 points, and we can go ahead and connect the dots. Now, since this one has the equal to line within the inequality, we'll keep the solid line. We don't have to go dashed. We'll just keep it solid because that then tells us that the points on that line also will work. However, since we know that the origin is one of the points on that line, we can't pick that if we want to try to figure out what side to shade based off of a point. So we can pick another point. Let's say the point 1, 1. So negative 1/2 times 1 is going to be negative 1/2. And is that greater than or equal to 1? Because 1, 1 is right here. No, negative 1/2 is not greater than 1. So that means our answer has to be this side down here. Or, like I said, the other way you could try to figure that out is just think about it more logically. Our y values have to be less than the line that we just drew. So start from a point that you know, find the y values that are less than that, which are down, and then your answer is going to be shaded down there. Either way, we get the same final answer. Now, with this, you might actually be asked to graph lines or inequalities that still have one variable, but you put it on the two-dimensional plane. So with this, start out thinking of this as y equals negative 3. Because we know that would be the line at 1, 2, 3. And it's going to be this line. Well, now it's an inequality. Fortunately, it does still have that equals line, so we don't have to go and make this dashed. But we need to figure out what y values are larger than that negative 3. Well, the side that's larger than that is the side that's above. Or in other words, you could just try another point, like the origin. Plug in 0, 0, and you get 0 is greater than or equal to negative 3, which is true. So in that case, our answer is that shaded part above the graph. You could also get something that looks the same for your x. Now, if we think about this more like this is a number line, and I'll say that our 0 is here. So if this is our number line, we could graph this already just on a number line. So we'd go down to negative 1. We'd put an open circle there, and our x values are going to be to the left of that because they have to be less than negative 1. Well, now if we go and make this in 2 variables and graph it on the full line, that means we would have the vertical line through negative 1. It has to be dashed because it was an open circle originally, and your arrow is already pointing towards the side that you have to shade. So you can go ahead and shade that side. And that's it. That is the last question from this section. So as always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, and otherwise, good luck.